The question is now, how do we get people to actually incorporate more plant-based nutrition in their lives? What's the best approach to doing that? Is it scaring people? Is it by inspiring people? Is it by giving people the education, the tools, the stats? What approach do you think is the best for getting people to make change in their lifestyle?
Whatever works. It all works. Everything is working because right now, actually, in 2012, over the last 5 years, there has actually been a decline. This is not our stats. This is the livestock industry numbers of 7% in the consumption of meat and poultry. And if we continue in that direction, I mean, think about where we'd be in 5 more years. We'd be consuming meat and dairy at the level of, I think we did in 1960. So whatever we're doing now is working, whether that's undercover investigations from Mercy for Animals. The livestock industry is afraid of the animal protection movement. They've said that in their report about why the livestock industry is quote-unquote suffering now. So more undercover investigations. We also need to protect the right to have undercover investigations, because right now there are these ag-gag bills that are sprouting up in states all over the country where basically making it a felony to record what goes on behind closed doors. So that's scary stuff. So what's working now is transparency, and we have to protect that.
So I talked about kids already and how I think that's important. I also work, again, with a lot of women, and something I'm really interested in and passionate about is because a lot of people ask me, well, what should I eat? Everybody's so different, and there's already a lot of information out there about what people should be eating. There's a lot of diet plans. Between the people up here, there's probably 12 or 15 books that have been written about what you could eat, what you should eat. But I get really interested in the mindset and actually getting people, the individual, in touch with their body. And when you have a guide, or you are in a group of people that's interested and passionate about finding out what is my body actually saying it wants, that means calming down your immediate environment, stepping away from foods that actually trigger your brain, eating things that are more calming, more alkalinizing, maybe not watching as much reality TV, but that's a whole other topic. Just really getting in touch with what your body's telling you. And for me, the path that I've seen works the best is having people eat more real, simple foods on a regular basis and having some awareness.
Bring good food to potlucks and wear nice shoes. When you have something that people want, they're going to ask you about it, and you're going to be such an attraction for the way you live, then people will want to know about it. And I do think that whatever reason people have for wanting to move in this direction, let's get the animals in there so that people will stick with this. So often people say, oh, a little bit won't hurt. And maybe a little bit won't hurt an individual's health, but for the animal, a little bit is everything. A little bit was his whole life or her whole life. So let's remember that.
At a Greenfest last year, I had the audience rate themselves at the beginning of my talk, which will start in 10 minutes right here, how vigilant they have been at avoiding GMOs on a scale of 1 to 100. Then I gave them the truth. 11 minutes later, I asked them to rate themselves how vigilant they would be next week at avoiding GMOs. And virtually everyone in the room made a change in their digestive life on the spot. It's actually quite easy to change people's diet to avoid more GMOs. And if you don't want to change your diet, don't attend the lecture, because it will be very, very compelling, whether you want to have children or just want to have a long, healthy life.
Bravo. I was feeling the yin and yang of this question. Well, first on the downside, I think what happens with people's lifestyles and eating habits is they don't make the connection that what they're eating is affecting their health. I mean, those of us who stand for this today, if people are eating badly or eating too much meat or junk food, they don't drop dead on the floor in a minute. You know, it takes 10, 20, 30 years to develop those cancers, that heart disease, or the diabetes that's everywhere, or the obesity. So I think that's the thing that people don't get. They don't get that what they're eating in that moment really is like a deposit in their future health. As far as the inspiring side, I think from the get-go, by now it was 30 years ago, my wife and I were very enamored with all the farmers markets in the New York area. And I think every community these days has some kind of farm stand or farmers market. And I think once you make the connection of where food comes from and how fresh and delicious it can be, there's no turning back. In fact, my wife teaches in the public school system about health and nutrition every now and then, and she had to teach kids what a broccoli was. I mean, kids are growing up in households that are third-generation junk food eaters. So we have a lot of work in our hands to convert people like that.
Yeah, I agree. You guys are awesome. I think one really cool thing I learned from I teach yoga to Deepak Chopra, and we were friends and all that stuff, but he's really good at talking about all this stuff. And one cool thing he said was the difference between inspiration and motivation. Somebody asked him, how do you motivate people to meditate every day and live a spiritual life? And now he's starting to eat better, which is good. But he says, I don't believe in motivation. That's fear-based, and that's all these problems with the diet books and all these books that say, eat this, don't eat that, I'm the expert, you don't know anything. And you might do it for a week, but that's why diet books are so bestsellers, because everybody keeps going out to buy the next one. But as soon as you're inspired, he says, well, I believe in inspiring people because we're all able to get back into the flow. We're all, from the same source of consciousness. And when we realize how powerful we are, we can step into that power, get into that flow, be inspired. That's sustainable energy from the planet, your sustainable energy for the rest of your life. You're going to be excited, and you're going to start eating this way and feel great, look great, have no health problems. You'll live a great life, you'll die happy, and you'll inspire everybody along the way. So I think that's kind of cool.